Hello, sixth graders. This is a video if you were absent from class today, Wednesday, September 23rd, or Thursday, September 24th. Also would be a video that you would want to watch if you need to review anything that we did in class today. Remember, you need a ruler in your geography packet. We're working on two maps. The blank map is our first map, and then we'll do the other side, the second side of the mapping skills worksheet. I also ask that you come to class with an open mind and a great attitude. I know this stuff isn't always easy, but if you do your best, that's all I ask. We're going to go into classwork and look at our date. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd. Again, those of you that are Thursday groups will be Thursday, September 24th. This is what we're doing in class. We have our in-class work and then we have our homework work. Homework, you'll find the video on this link here. If you open this up, you'll see the video in there. We're going to go through what we did in class today. So again, it's a geography review looking at map features, what helps us understand and read maps and be able to analyze them. So the first thing we're going to do is look at making a map title on our blank map called the Mediterranean Sea region map. The second thing is that we're going to put a compass on that map. Then we're going to put a key on that map. And then we're going to review the scale. So that's the tough part. Review how we do the scale, and then we will work on, so we'll find out how we did last class on our activity, on our worksheet. And then we will work on the new page called Mapping Skills. So I'm going to open up this map to start out with. It's called my beginning map, and what I want you to have on this map is what's listed up above. So you're going to locate as many things that you can on your map. I would suggest putting the title, compass, and map key on first, and then you'll want to label as many things that you can. Now, as you can see, I've asked you to label countries, continents, bodies of water, any rivers, seas, oceans that you can label on this. Now, some of you won't be able to label anything, and that is completely fine. Don't worry about that. By the end of the school year, you're going to be turning this in when I see you next in person. And by the end of the school year, hopefully you'll be able to label quite a few things. So really this one's just to see your growth. If you do not have a copy of this, you can send it into Google Classroom or open it into Google Docs. And then from there, you click on these three little buttons up here at the top, and you are going to send a copy into Notability, open it in Notability, and that way you can color on it, create a new note, and you're going to import it. And then as we know, we'll go into Notability, and then we can do our work on it. Okay, so here's where you are going to use a text box, I would say, to create your title. So you can do that up here, rotate it back. So what should you title it? Well, what are we looking at? You might not know what we are looking at, but in class, if you read through my directions, I asked you to title it the Mediterranean Sea region. After you have your title, you're going to want to put in a compass. So you can use what color you want, but I would probably suggest black. That shows up best. You can put your compass on the map, north, south, east, and west. If you want to use, the highlighter, you can type that in. That's completely up to you. Next, you will have a key, and I would suggest you put your key down probably in the corner down here. We're not going to have a lot in there. And we're going to have water and we're going to have land. So those are the two things that we're going to have. So we'd probably want to change to blue. Anything that's shaded in blue will be our water. So we'll just put our word water in after that. Anything shaded in green will be our land. And that's how you will do your key on your map. After you get the key done on your map, you're going to want to start locating anything and everything that you can. So if you know where something on this map is located, have at it. Go label it. I am going to label two things for you. The two things that I'm going to label for you are actually continents. So I just want you to know that this is Europe, and then down here is Africa. All right, so you can move those around in those spaces, but just know that that's kind of where those areas are at. Looks like I need to tab over a little bit with that one. since it didn't create a text box. So sometimes with Notability, you just kind of have to work with it a little bit and move it around. So there we go. There's Africa. All right, your next job is to shade in the land and shade in the water. So as you can see, I've labeled 2 locations that are land. I would suggest using your highlighter for this. Change the color. You want blue and green, obviously. So I'm just going to do the green land for now, just to outline it a little bit. It looks like a boot, doesn't it? Does anyone know what that location might be? Okay, and this rest is all land. And then we have land to the south area too. Some kids in class, when I would hand this worksheet out, they wouldn't know which direction would be north, and they'd have their maps upside down. So you're lucky that you actually get a copy of it online so you know which direction's north and south. So obviously mine is shaded in kind of squiggly and not neat and messy, but you kind of get the gist of where the land would be. Okay, the rest would be water, so you would want to shade that in blue. Okay, don't worry so much about the islands, especially these small islands, but we want to decipher between the land and the water. That's super important. So we want to make sure that we understand those different areas. Okay. With the islands, I would suggest going back over them, some of the bigger islands, with the green if you possibly can. So again, do your best when you are working on the shading, especially if you are on Notability. It's a lot easier if you are working on a paper copy to get those islands and that land shaded in nice and neat. So that's your map, your Mediterranean map. Again, you will be holding on to that until we get back from our kind of virtual time. When we go back to blended, that's when you will be handing this in. All right, the next activity and the last activity that we are going to be doing has to do with scale. So we will go over the homework that you had from last class, 1 through 5. You were asked to figure out the scale, and most of the classes you were asked to figure out direction as well. And then we're moving on to another practice of using scale. So this one is the second worksheet. It's actually front and back to the other one. This is called mapping skills. So it says, Hugo is planning a visit to Dallas to see his cousin, Anna. Use the scale below to help him mark the distance he will travel. Make sure to stay on the main roads, okay? So I'm going to let you go on any of the main roads that are black or gray. As we can see, there's lots of different roads, but I'm going to allow you to travel on any of the black roads or even these gray roads. I'm going to be fine with you traveling on, okay? So you need to put direction. And you also need to put in distance. So we know with distance, we are measuring here. We have 0, 5, and 10 miles. With that said, you are going to use your ruler. You're obviously measuring miles. And with your ruler, you will figure out that 10 miles equals 15 millimeters. Knowing that distance and knowing that 15 millimeters equals 10 miles, you'll be able to plug that into that equation. Okay, so this one will be a little bit different than the last one. This one will be 10 miles equals 15 millimeters, which then when we figure it out is 10 miles divided by or over 15 millimeters equals X over whatever your distance is that you're measuring. This down here is the equation that you will be using for each one of those problems. To figure this out and to help you along with this, you will want to jump into the other area in Google Classroom. That other area will be, will give you the homework, your actual homework, which is this worksheet, but it'll give you further explanation of how you need to complete that. All right, so that's what we did today in class, those of you that missed or as a review. I hope you find this beneficial to have the video, and hopefully I will see you next week. Bye.